Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another F1 23 Game Ideas video. Today I'm going to be reacting to your comments that you've all been making over this series. Huge thank you for commenting your ideas over this series as well. If you have of course missed any of the series so far and want to check it out, I'll try and remember to leave an I thing at some point in the top right hand corner to the playlist for this series. But before I react to your comments, I've got four things that don't really fit into any of the other videos that I want to cover. Starting with better weather. I don't like particularly the way the wet weather works on F1 22. The older F1 games with the spray actually made it a little bit more realistic, where it's like on F1 2011 where you got too close to a car in front. You'd lose visibility and all the screen would all spray up with the spray from the car in front. We need that back in F1 23, and I've also wanted to see a few more options for Grand Prix mode. Storm Wet isn't available in Grand Prix mode or online. Obviously, technically speaking, it allows a safety car because of course it's too wet to be driving. However, also want to see snow in the game, because I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you? It's a video game after all. Let's have snow. Let's even put thunderstorms in as well. Any other weather, fog, etc., etc. You know, all these types of different types of weather, just to, because they would make so cool videos to see driving an F1 car in fog, for example. That would be such a cool video and such a cool thing to try and see what the visibility like, what the conditions are like in the current F1 cars on the official F1 game. Number 2, new menus. Now obviously they technically did introduce new menus for F1 22, but in the form of F1 Live, but I would like to see something a little bit cleaner, something that's been refreshed, because the blocky menu, it does get a bit tedious trying to find a particular thing sometimes. It'd be nice if they cleaned up the menus and made a lot of things like the theatre mode, for example, which is being put left, right and centre in every F1 game since it had its own tab on when it was first introduced on F1 2020, I want to say. But basically, I think that a new menu design would go do a lot of things good for the game. Now obviously, what type of menus would that thing? Maybe smaller blocks, maybe go in the step of FIFA. I don't mind. The only thing that I have against FIFA's new menu system, which is basically what F1's is based on, the old one, but FIFA's new menu system of course has that thing where it's at the top and then the bottom, which divides in further. That's the only thing I don't like about the fact. I would like those two to be together, if they were to follow that menu system. Number 3, better safety cars. It's been every F1 game since F1 2019. The safety car pretty much has been broken. It's become a joke how the safety car is. There are scenarios where an AI will retire the car due to an engine failure, and the safety car just doesn't come out. Now obviously they can never seem to get that right balance between the safety car coming out every time, between a virtual safety car. They just haven't found that right balance since F1 2019, personally speaking. Like, it's either we see the safety car too often or the safety car not enough, depending on which team is actually making the game, because remember, they have two teams developing the game. The final one, red flags. I don't think I need to say a lot about this. They've been missing since F1 2015 came out, and that was 8 years ago next year. So the fact that they're still not in the game is diabolical from Codemasters, and really EA, you should be ashamed of yourselves by the fact that you've left red flags out for this long. But now it's time to throw it over to your comments. I'm going to start with James's comment about the AI. I do agree the AI have never been inconsistent. Obviously, he's been struggling with traction control. I've struggled with traction control, to be fair, on F122. It's the launches that's the issue. Just can't get the traction down, and the AI getting better launches every time than me. I think there's only been once or twice where I've got better launches than the AI. It's that second phase as well, for some reason, for me personally speaking. But obviously, he preferred with a race on 95. I think I was on 98 on F1 2020. But he's now stuck racing a 64. I think I'm in 89. So I haven't gone down too much. I'm 89 for. I do find that Grand Prix mode is easier to race for AI, personally speaking. But I think I'm 89 for that, and then maybe slightly less. Obviously, it goes up and down because AI are more OP at one track and less on another one, and that's also a big problem that the AI have. They're just inconsistent, and it gets a problem for the player. They just can't find that. It's finding that consistency, the level that they want to race, is actually very hard to do. Second point about Breaking Point. James says they need to make Breaking Point more like the Journey in FIFA. Which I guess having those different storylines as well. It's a little short, I do agree. They're only 5 to 6 hours on the first one, so hopefully it is highly likely, as I've said before, the Breaking Point will be coming. It's not yet confirmed. Lack of reaction wheel left a lot to be desired. The heart of the story, as well, more replayability to go back to the game and play the other options. That's something I did mention in that episode about having that splurge between the storyline. Maybe it's too hard, and maybe like reviving Champion's career using a driver as Alex Hill. I'm not too familiar with that. But then also different transfer choices. That's something. This harps back to another idea, which I think is mentioned also in another comment later down the line, but having an historic career mode has always been something I've suggested before, but I haven't brought back because there's things that are higher priority. But obviously with Breaking Point, then there is the advantage to expand this. But I do think they'll probably go for the next step up, and hopefully they make that extra step up and add these differences where you can move apart. James continues also about interaction with cutscenes as well. Mainly, I do think the cutscenes are actually enjoyable because they were outsourced. They weren't made by Codemasters or EA. Season 2, more interactive, like the Journey. Obviously, we won't be in Season 2, we'll be in Season 3, so yes, consistent. There are a few spaces in the top 3 teams. As I say, we're sure that there's going to be continuing that rivalry between Jackson and Devon Butler, especially after the fallout with Casper Ackerman at the end of the Season 2, and then they obviously made up at the end of that season. Obviously, Mercedes have another. As I say, I don't think they are going to do that, but obviously it will be this year's performance that will probably be the first season. Now, I think it probably be possibly adapted version of this year's performance, like it was in the Season 1 of Breaking Point. Because remember that's the downside that Breaking Point has, is you're not actually racing the current season. Obviously, fantasy season, we all know that that's probably not going to happen due to licensing as well. RRT Racing says he'd love to see Lucas Weber returning. Absolutely, I'd love to see Lucas return. Maybe, obviously, Iceman suggests Lucas was replaced by Aiden. Gets to return to return the team to show his worth. That could be like a side storyline as well. Potentially obviously having that little side storyline where Lucas you have to perform as Lucas or you get to perform as Aiden, having those options as well. But then also I've also thought that Lucas could come back as like a mentor for Aiden. Maybe he's like struggling in the top team and the team calls in Lucas as a driver coach. That's something that would also like to see. Junior Dusuchet, apologies I butchered your name, says new characters connecting with Aiden Jackson, for example as a sister, as an old friend trying to reach F1 and face Devon Butler. Having obviously the Journey did have the sister career mode as part of that, so that will be quite nice to see as Junior also calls for Lucas Weber to come back as well. So yes, hopefully I'd like to see him come back as in one form or another, because they developed that character in the sort of precursor to Breaking Point in F1 2019 career mode. Definitely nice to see Lucas back in the game as that sort of somebody on your side, especially if Casper's not going to be there. There needs to be that character that turns out to be on Aiden's side, should Aiden be the main person of Breaking Point. Moving on to some general career mode idea by Not the FIA. Says driver names on suits. Yes, that would be hard to do for every driver though, especially the F2 drivers, because they just get a random allocated number. But yes, definitely that'd be nice to see. Actual team helmets with the team templates are not just random helmets. I think that's talking about your driver career mode helmet. That would definitely be nice to see. Have, just like in my team, in driver career mode, I want to see sponsors of the team be able to appear on on your helmet. I think that's third one's referring to Breaking Point, but I'm not too sure about that. I'd like to see a longer story mode, but I don't want to see it full 2 seasons. Obviously, sit down interviews with the media, absolutely 100% need to return. And Junior back again. Put more people on social media like Jarno Opmeer, Jamie Chadwick, and more. Now, obviously, the social media feed was in Breaking Point, and I think they need to expand that to My Team and Driver Career Mode. That would be 100% make career mode a lot better. Obviously, have more people like Jarno Opmeer, Jamie Chadwick. They've already got Arav, Ben, people like that. So adding a few more people. If you want to add me co-masters, then please go ahead. Please feel free to do so. Although I doubt I will. My team, James wants new icons. Fangio, it's a travesty Fangio isn't there. Moss as well, Lauda as well. There are loads of older drivers that did like there's even cases of people like PK as well, 3-time world champion, Stewart as well, and then obviously you've got Di Resta, Barrichello, Montoya. I don't know why Di Resta, I'm not sure he's a fan favourite, but definitely likes Barrichello, Montoya, those second drivers that were so much favourites. And then you can go even further back, so there's a whole load more, but maybe get some more icons instead of having the same that we've had. Like, you probably want to keep like the ones that are used, like Schumacher, Senna and Prost, those 3, and then replace the others with new drivers as well, and have 6 to 7, as I said, James says, I agree, 6 to 7 new ones. That would be a good one for F1 23 My Team. Young Gene B mentions, interview got to be better. Yes, even though they need to be brought back, they also have to be better, because Claire was useless as well. Maybe give a little bit more logic, because I felt she had a bit more logic in Breaking Point than she did have in general career mode, but maybe that's because she was a bit more scripted to the questions she was asking, due to the fact they scripted her to ask those questions, opposed to Driver and My Team Career Mode, which are unscripted. But press conferences as well absolutely need to be added back to the game, because they were originally on the game back on F1 2010. Now, on customization options, Eric says, just some better customizations 100% needed. At least let us customize the preset using shape sponsors, something new for character and car customization. Especially for the character customization. I want to see, like you do in FIFA, where you can customize your manager and the hair, moustache, whatever. You can customize pretty much everything there. Because as I've said previously, some of the people that have been used since F1 2016. I don't want to see these people in F1 23. It's about time they retired from having their face in the F1 game. Young JB says, and to change the colour of your car each season, not major different detail, but different more helmet designs, etc. Definitely do more helmets. The helmets have always, I feel like since F1 2020 came out on the podium pass, I feel that the helmets have got designs have got worse. And there's not actually one that I actually like on F1 22 as well. To be able to change the colour of your car, sadly I don't think will ever happen. The only thing that I can see is maybe they have those part-time liveries and you have the option to change that if you drive a career mode, but sadly that's not able to do. So obviously My Team, you've got that ability, but otherwise you're from console, you're just stuck with the same car for 10 seasons. And JB also mentions add more driver emotions. Yes, I don't like them. I like the one the one like the couple of the ones on F1 2021, but on F1 22 they're just not that great, and they've gone very American-y, which is not for me. As well, got to remember that it's not just there is more than one country in the world. F1 is a global sport, and I think that maybe EA have slightly lost focus with what they could have done, considering the fact they've launched so many American items around the US Grand Prix. They could have done similar stuff earlier in the year around British Grand Prix, for example, Italian Grand Prix, etc, etc. Junior Driver Series has also been mentioned. Casper has mentioned about his daughter racing in karts. I don't think they remember a daughter, I can't remember, maybe W Series as well. Obviously they got that new one coming up as well. Cool to see what Casper does now, etc, etc. And then there's obviously Gabrielle has listed a lot of Junior Driver Series, F3, Formula 4, Formula Renault, karting, driver programs, third driver, running juniors 2 times a season, and drivers changing programs. Now, the top 4, F3 is the most likely, the other 3 probably not. Maybe W Series and that new one, I forget what they're called, it's called as well, that they're launching next season. But F3 is a possibility, but as I said, there is a divided fan base on whether or not F3 should be in the game. I personally think that definitely should have the F3 drivers replacing the F2 drivers in a career mode, as I mentioned earlier. And then driver programs, absolutely. If you definitely want those junior driver programs in. Third driver as well, maybe hiring a Daniel Ricciardo. Get those free agents in as in the F1 game, like Daniel Ricciardo, not Nico Hulkenberg, because he was Mick Schumacher, Robert Kubica, Latifi even. Get them all in. Maybe be able to approach them as a third driver as well. Maybe even see when if somebody's become a free agent, and allow a driver to become a free agent to be able to approach them as well, which you can do already, but obviously it'd be nice to see that in advance with their contract if it's known. Running juniors 2 times a season, absolutely, so you'd have to make the decision whether it goes in your seat and you just sit past FP1 and your junior driver simulates FP1, or whether they go in your second driver seat, which could reduce their morale if they're not happy about that. And obviously you've got drivers changing driver programs, which does happen as we've seen, but they didn't facilitate that option when junior driver programs was the only available in F1 2019. So Junior wants F2, F3 and W Series scenario. That would be nice to see. But moving to F1 Life, I think everyone can agree that we want to get rid of it. Supercars as well, and given stuff we want, making more career mode, more in depth, etc, etc. As I say, I've not touched F1 Life since the start of the game. A lot of people haven't, and the fact of the matter is, it's a menu for most people. People just don't bother with it. Supercars handle like your house. It feels very bad Mickey Mouse version of Forza with PlayStation 1 physics and graphics. Yes, because it's an F1. The problem with that is that they can never try and match the likes of Forza and all those games that are dedicated for supercars, because they have to focus on F1. F1 is, after all, what you buy the game for, not to drive supercars, although I think they should still keep the safety car as well. And this is something else I want, is to have that crossover races between classic cars, F2, F1 and the safety car. That definitely needs to be a thing. Cadoni says, I'm almost found myself never using F1 Life. However, I really seem to enjoy the trophy cabinet for some reason. Actual fact, the trophy cabinet was nice, but all the trophies are the same, apart from when you can when you win the Constructors or Drivers Championship, which I don't think you can put the Constructors on the shelf, I don't think. But anyway, put more focus in my team and online. James says again, there definitely needs to be more cutscenes for F1 23 as well. Regarding F1 Light World, while they're taking it further is beyond me. I'd rather drive classic cars, 88 McLaren or 2009 Brawn, such as wasting time on an ordinary car. If I want to do that, we'll go and play Forza, Gran Turismo, Need for Speed. And also, we want to fly in private jets. We've got Flight Simulator for that. In actual fact, we could probably fly to try and land on an F1 thing. Since when have we seen F1 drivers flying planes as well? Yes, I can see where James is going with his comment about FIFA Ultimate Team. The fact that EA have ruined career mode and majority of it hasn't changed. They've added some new features, but then they've added new features to the F1 game career mode, but that's still not the level that we want to see, and they're wasting the time and the resources on that. The final one is about classic tracks. Brooklands, James has suggested. How it never, I don't think ever got to F1 though, because obviously they use it as a World War II airbase. But again, get it in career mode, because what Silverstone out created mini-size stories going back to the classic days when British Grand Prix used to alternate different tracks like Aintree and Brands Hatch. Mugello would be awesome. I think it'd be nice. I've driven that track once on Forza Motorsport 7. A track editor to create and drive your own custom-made track would be cool as well, but I don't see that happening as well. So-called F1 Life has anything to do that. But he doesn't like Long Beach or Indianapolis. I'd rather we had Long Beach and Indianapolis than Miami and Las Vegas. Kyalami, Buenos Aires, or the lethal Morocco circuit, which isn't about, I don't think, anymore. Marrakesh. They only race there once, I think, on the streets. But maybe even getting other tracks that we've not seen. I've made so many classic tracks videos over the years. I've mentioned tracks like Avers, and even tracks we don't even race on as well. Laguna Seca, I think, has been mentioned over the years. There's been so many. Adelaide is another one, that comes to mind. There are so many tracks out there that they could choose and add to the game that I've and also mentioned over the years that every single one of them would be welcome in the F1 game, in career mode, to freshen career mode up. It's as simple as that. That's what the purpose of these tracks are. The main purpose is to get them in career mode, and then you can have your career modes at these tracks and drive the F120, the F123 cars around those tracks. That's where I'm going to leave it today's video. I hope you have enjoyed this video and the series. Thank you to everyone who's participated in commenting their own ideas in the comments below. If you're on your end here then, so please get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care, thanks so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.